Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends. Once again, it's time to get our talk on. It's Morning Talk. Morning Talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champions of talk. And this morning, our talk champion is none other than Cleo Duke-Wright. Morning, Miss Cleo. How you doing?
Oh, good morning. I'm a little tired after the holiday, after Thanksgiving and all that cooking and visiting, and just a little tired.
You and I both. Although I didn't do any cooking.
Oh my gosh, I cooked all night.
Now all night is
Well, I was tired. I went to sleep.
Wednesday night?
Wednesday night, I went to sleep. I got up at midnight and I didn't go back to bed. I just cooked all night. I just cooked all through the night and made all this stuff, and I guess they were happy. Then we had to go eat other people's stuff, which I didn't want to do, but my husband wanted to see his in-law, his relatives, his sisters and brothers.
So after you cooked all night, you went over someone else's house and ate.
Oh no, I didn't eat. Because I ate at home. My relatives don't eat till 6, 7 o'clock at night. Every Thanksgiving. I said, no, I would never do that. I told him that. And of course, he got up at 10 o'clock in the morning and wanted to cut the sweet potato pie. And he wanted some macaroni and cheese. I said, no, it's not time. You can't do it. No. But of course, before we left, he had his pie and macaroni and cheese. We went over the relative's house, and they're just totally different from me. Of course, my husband's totally different from me. They're so totally different from me that I just sit and just look and listen. I look and listen. And so that's what I did for my Thanksgiving, and then went home and
crashed out.
Had a glass of wine. You can guarantee sleep if I have a glass of wine. So I had a glass of wine, and I went to sleep till this morning.
How about that? Well, what did I do? I ate yesterday, but I didn't get into the full scale traditional Thanksgiving Day feasting. I'll do that today. My whole schedule for today is to eat.
Oh, you didn't eat yesterday?
I ate yesterday, but I didn't really eat.
Yeah.
It's hard to. Well, I guess it's not hard to eat. For me, I eat best sitting down at the table.
Oh my goodness! You said that, and I so miss sitting down at the table because my family doesn't sit at the table. I don't remember a Thanksgiving when I was growing up that I didn't sit at the table.
We
my
always
grandma's
sat at the table
or my mother's table, and they just want to sit with a plate on their lap and no prayer, no nothing, and it's very discouraging. But I have a plan. I have a plan to improve this a lot, and because I go to the in-laws, and when my mother-in-law was alive, we sat at the table, but she's been gone for maybe 2 years now. Nobody, they don't sit at the table as much, even at her house. Where they, sit there watching the football game and eat, or bring out a TV tray. Oh gosh, who invented those things?
Oh, the TV. It's funny you said, because I don't know if you could see behind those red boxes up next to the wall. There's little wooden TV trays. I don't know if you can see them.
I can't see him. No.
All right. There's one right over there behind that.
I see that one there.
Yeah. There's one over there. And I don't really. I use them here in the studio. When there's a need for a table or something for a production and someone needs to set something down, so I have them. But I've never used one to eat at. And since I've been here, now you mentioned that, I do remember the TV tray when you went over. We always went over like in-laws. I'm going back in time now. You go over somebody's house for Thanksgiving, and of course, the core adults
eat at the table,
and then other adults with rank would have a TV tray. The children always ate, I want to say in the kitchen, maybe, if the food wasn't in the kitchen. But the kids would eat in the kitchen, and they all ate kind of like first-ish or second-ish. It's weird. But they would eat, and all of the fixings, the food would be at the table. The turkey would be at the table. Yeah. The yams would be at the table.
Everything is on the table.
Everything was on the table. Everything is on the table. And then if you have a buffet, the cakes, pies, desserts,
they're
all on the buffet. And then you had people, some kids might eat on the floor. You know, you sit down, your legs crossed, and you get a little piece of turkey or some chicken, fried chicken, something like that. And it was always fairly predictable as to what would be served. There was just a whole lot of what was going to be served.
Right. I remember my grandmother's cake always sat on it was on the counter next to the sink, you know, on the counter. Always sat in that same spot. And so you could just look at it and just while you're eating your dinner, you couldn't wait for a piece of grandma's cake, because it tasted different than any other cake in the world, you know.
Yeah, so. I think it was because of, or at the Thanksgiving dinner, where I acquired my affinity for pound cake.
It's like
because the pound cake would go quickly, and was always anxious, anxiety-ridden time, because you figure like you're not going to get any, limited resources, because everyone can't eat some desserts, because there's only so much of it. So I mean, you were going to get dessert, but you might not get the dessert you wanted. So you had peach cobbler, apple pie, cherry pie, red velvet cake, sweet potato pie, pound cake, carrot cake. There were always those 7. Then there could be cupcakes, chocolate cake, coconut cream pie.
Oh my gosh! No, I've never really. I've never had a Thanksgiving, except for in the soup kitchen you have all of that. But I never had we just had one dessert, and that was grandma's cake, and at Thanksgiving, and people would come over from all over that area, the Rockville area, and get a piece of her cake. So that was, kind of exciting. And they gave it when she died. They gave us her recipe. Of course, I was young and didn't think. I'm so sorry I don't have it now. But her cake was just very, very special. But when I tried to ask Grandma how much of this and how much of that, I couldn't figure that out. Well, she said she poured it in her hand and taken this much. It's this much. And she said, well, how much? Well, you take this and that's how much you should have. Well, how much flour? Well, when you think there's enough, Yeah, I couldn't cook like my. I have friends that cook like that, but I can't. I could never. I learned how to cook in school, not with my grandmother or my mother. So I could never make a cake. I could never figure it out.
So you had to have you measure standards. That's some
and my in-laws laugh
quarter
at
cup,
me
half
for
cup,
that.
third cup,
That's right.
tablespoon, teaspoon.
And they laugh at me. Oh, look at her! She's doing a recipe. Look at she
She can't
using this
cook.
cup. They laugh because I use a recipe. Well, my mother and grandma didn't teach me how to cook. Northwest Jones taught me how to cook in cooking class, and that's how they taught us. So that's how I cook. My mother didn't keep us. She didn't have us in the kitchen when she cooked. Grandma did, but I can't figure it out.
Now when I'm in the kitchen, I shouldn't say I don't cook. We have an odd cooking in this household. Everyone except the girls really cooks for themselves. Because everyone's eating time is different. So like my son eats, he eats between 10 p.m. and 12ish. Generally between 10 and 11. He eats when I'm on the air at night. Mm-hmm. So he eats like around between 10 and 12. Or he'll eat at maybe 3 a.m. Between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. or 10 to 12. Those are his eating times. I eat dinner at midnight. Between midnight and 1:30. That's when I eat. I started working at Pratt Whitney second shift when I was 19, and so midnight is when I got out of work. So after work, I still to this day eat my main meal at midnight. At midnight ish, I say probably time I'm sitting down eating is probably 12:30, quarter to 12, between 12:30 and 20 minutes to 1.
Oh my gosh, I could never. And then you sleep on it?
Yeah, I don't go to bed I go to bed between 2 and 2:30, and then I get up at. I generally wake up around, believe it or not, between 5 and 6. And then I'll try to go back to bed for 1 hour because I'll go through the paper. I didn't go through the paper this morning because it was early at 5 and 6, and then it was 10 minutes to 8. Which is why we're running a little late this morning.
Yes, well, the time flies that way only when I'm sleeping. Everything else goes very slow. But when I say it's 5 o'clock, well, maybe I got another half hour, 45 minutes, so I'll just stay in bed. Mm-hmm. Then when I wake up again, I'm jumping. I'm jumping out of bed. I'm jumping, and oh my God, rush off to work.
Yeah, my safety alarms were not on. I'm so used to being up at 7, but of course the girls don't have school today, so my normal noise routine is gone.
It's gone. This is how it's so quiet out there. Mm-hmm. It's like Sundays used to be.
Yeah.
You know how quiet Sundays used to be? So peaceful, so quiet. Well, out there right now, very, very quiet. Hardly no cars going up and down the streets. Just
it's almost like it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
No one driving anywhere. No, like abandoned cities,
But they said, I was listening to the radio when coming over here, and they said there are more people out now than in the pandemic. It's like getting to normal. Mm-hmm. It's getting to normal, and more people are going to shop. And they said how many billions of dollars or millions of dollars they're going to make over this holiday because people are out there they predict people are out there shopping, and people are shopping. They said on Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So this weekend should be a record.
Record sales.
Yeah, that's what they.
Yeah,
that's what they predict.
Black Friday and I guess Small Business Saturday. You know, these we have traditions, but you know, Thanksgiving is an interesting tradition because, of course, of late, you know, a lot of people, quote unquote, don't celebrate Thanksgiving because they are offended by it. You know,
what?
They're offended by it. They've come into the knowledge that Thanksgiving was not a good time, so they are
Good time for whom?
I guess for, you know, Native people, and a European holiday, so they eliminate Thanksgiving from their existence. But you know, tradition. I think that what we do is we don't have. I think times change, but I like the old ways. I like the traditions. You know, the passing of the seasons, things like that. To me, Thanksgiving was always a time to be grateful and gracious to the Lord for what He has blessed us with in His bounty. And so I you know, conceptually speaking, I think we're too how shall you say, we're too sensitive about stuff. Hyper.
Well, you get to those. I love the holidays too. I always thought we made the holidays our own, just like we made the scriptures. We read into the scriptures about the Lord, but they weren't supposed to be that way. They were supposed to kind of condemn us. It's just let us be. Hey, this is where you're supposed to be. You know, you so listen to your master and all of this, and you know, and the slaves made it their own. My gosh, and celebrated it probably a lot like they celebrated things in Africa, in a way, and made it their own.
Well, I think you make a good point. I think you make a good point when you were saying that. When you were saying you know, reading into, I was thinking, well, you know, this can you read things into scripture? Obviously, you can read things into scripture, but I thought of it in a different way for the very first time, and that's your favorite pastime, reading. When any one person reads a book, I think the only person that actually sees what the book is actually about is the author. Other than that, everyone that reads the exact same book walks away with a different vision.
Right.
Because the only frames of reference you have are things in your own mind.
But when the author is there, you read the book and the author is there, and you're talking to him back and forth, and you hit a lot of points that the author was trying to convey to you. You say, "Wow!" It's like your friends, like not so much with the author, but with the book.
Right.
The book comes alive then.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness. So whatever you're reading in the book and the people in the book become alive. They really do. Stories that I've written and told, those people have come alive. People say to me, "Oh, you're going to tell a story of Mary Beth Louise?" Now, anybody who has listened to my stories over the years, no, I tell Mary Beth Louise every single year. And I change a little bit here and there every single year. And like my kids say, "Ma, is this going to be Mary Beth Louise. And I said, hey, I remember I was telling a story about the beautiful girl who fell in love with the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, really, the fish died. The fish dies. And the girl dies too. Not dies, but they sink into the earth, And my boys are sitting there saying, "Oh my God, no, you can't, you can't tell that story. You can't do that." So I did. It wasn't very good of me, but I did. I did change the story. They went away, but they lived happily, in the water, in the lake or whatever, whatever I said at that time, happily ever after, And the only person who suffered was the little brother who told his father he tried to kill, and he's still sitting by. he's still sitting by the water. You heard this story, I know, many times. He's still sitting by the water. His beard is long as the road, and he's waiting there just to say to his sister, "I'm so very sorry." And he's the only one that kind of suffers. Somebody had to suffer, So I made him suffer, but only in that way. But nobody really died. The brother, his sister was gone, and the parents, that was probably very sad, But I could see those people. I could see the little brother. I could see her. I could see the man who was a fish. I could see it all. I've told the story so many times that I just see these people. I just see the images of the people, and that's what I want kids to do. And they do it so easily. Kids do it so easily.
In terms of seeing the story.
Oh, yes.
Well, they have very active imaginations, so they can. But
we're taking it away from them with the TV and the games and stuff. We're not letting them use their brain. Let their brain be creative and.
Well, I think they're using their brains, but they use it. I think they're processing. They are processing like every person's ever done, and I guess will do, but just in a different way.
Yes, I suppose. And that's what I have to learn.
Yeah,
they're doing it, but they're doing it sort of in a different way.
You said as you were telling me, I was thinking to myself, write the vision down and make it plain. A scripture, and there's value to the oral tradition. And there's value to things being written down. Of course, the oral tradition allows for the story to be able to be changed. As much as people like the oral tradition. The oral tradition gives the orator a tremendous power, tremendous control over what the hearer walks away with. So if you got the chieftain or the sage or whoever this person is that's telling the story, everyone is gathered around, and all they know is what they're told from this one person who is the quote leader of the people or leader of the tribe or leader of the circle. But when something is written down,
it's solid.
It's as solid as a rock, and that means that people can now challenge the person telling the story. Now hold up a second. That's not what is written. What is written is this. And the written word changes things. And I'm going somewhere with this. The written word poses a problem when you don't like what it says. So how do you reconcile what you want it to be with what it says? I think what we do through time is we take it away.
We take it away, and
we burn the written word.
And you put something else there.
Yes.
Or you start interpreting it differently, than it really says. And you say, well,
Oh, all right. We're gonna.
Interpretation is
everything.
Everything, and that's the beauty of the story. That's the beauty of the story, because when I did that experiment where I listened to someone, and then I told them a story. And their job was to tell me the story. Next week, I want you to tell me the story. I want you to tell me the story. But in the meantime, I want you to be so-and-so, some character in the story. All week, you're going to be that character. But, and then come back and tell me the story. Oh, my gosh.
All right. Hold that thought. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. It's Morning Talk. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Thinkers are Puerto Rican, Mexican, Peruvian, Indian, Bosnian, Italian, Irish, Jamaican, African American, European, straight, gay, Nigerian, transgender, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, short, tall, skinny, rich, poor, happy, sad. Some of us hold a PhD and others a GED. And though we may be Democrats, Republicans, or members of the Working Families Party, we all have escaped the plantation of party politics and become independent thinkers because we as individuals are more than a party. You see, independent thinkers come from all walks of life. And the one thing we all have in common is that we love, live, laugh, and learn in the city of Hartford. We are the constituents, and the government of Hartford belongs to us. My name is J. Stan McCauley. I'm an independent thinker, and I approve this message because it's time to stop towing the party line and vote for a candidate you can trust. You too can escape the plantation of party politics if you have the courage to free your political mind.
Hi.
My name's J. Stan McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Oh, yes. Welcome back, my friends. Morning Talk. J. Stan McCauley here with Talk Champion Cleo Duke-Wright. She joins us, of course, once a week. Fridays when we're live. We're live every Friday, 8 o'clock or so. You know, we're live every Monday, Wednesday. Or so, yeah. We're live with this program originates as a live broadcast. Many of you don't watch us live, but it originates live at 8 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Followed by Light Source, which originates live at 10 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But if you can remember 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, tune in. We always have good conversation. That's the purpose of us being here. But right before the break, we're talking about stories, about the written word, oral tradition, and traditions in general. This is the day after Thanksgiving. There are a lot of traditions that we undertake every single day. We don't politicize most of the traditions. But we get up at time, we go to work, we run the kids. All of those are traditions. Traditions are like, just nothing more than habits. The Bible says you make void the word of God by your traditions, your habits, the things you do. But your recipes are oral traditions passed down and passed down and acted out that ends up being a cake. But no one knows how much is in this hand. You take you a hand. No, add a little more to that hand, baby. There you go. That's what you
like
need.
Grandma's recipes.
And but if you write it down, then you can make sure it tastes the same all the time, and it's not left up to private interpretation because it's written. This is what it means. It means 1 cup, 2 tablespoons. And some, I guess if someone shows you, they know about how much that is, and they
know how.
Yeah, pull your mic.
I guess when you're
pull your mic up, Cleo.
When you're younger and you don't, in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and a little girl is learning how to cook beside her mother, she would put that in the little girl's hand and say, I don't know this, but I'm just saying that's what I think it could be. How else could she teach her? She couldn't teach her from putting it in her hand. She'd have to put it in the little girl's hand, and the little girl would have to feel how much that was, and then put it in. And then if she wanted a little more, I went over. I had a meeting at a friend's house, and I said, and that's how she cooks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I put a little bit of this in there and a little bit of that, and then, oh, well, I just do this. And then she says, oh, you use recipes. I say, yes, I use recipes, but she never used a recipe. My brother-in-law never used a recipe when he cooked,
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of people who don't use recipes. They just go by their gut or their whatever.
My wife does that. She changes stuff, which I find semi-mildly disturbing. I have to say that like a husband, when you're walking on shaky ground now, wash yourself. No, but I love lasagna. And so she very rarely ever makes it the same because she likes to try new things. I wonder what it would taste like with a little of this, and the next time it's a little of that, so it'll change up a little bit. She might try a different kind of cheese, which changes everything, or the noodle might be a little bit more healthy noodle as opposed to the other noodle. And so it's always good, but there's that one time that was absolutely perfect, and now it's like
it's gone forever.
It's gone forever. It's like a treat in time.
Well, I have a book at home. It's called the Food Substitute Bible.
The Food Substitute Bible. Oh, okay. What you could substitute stuff with?
When I was making my macaroni and cheese,
Mm-hmm.
and I put cottage cheese and sour cream in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I went to get the cottage cheese, I had bought blueberry cottage cheese. So when I went to put the thing in, it was blueberry. And I said, I wonder if I could use this blueberry. And then I said, I can't use blueberry. That's just going too far. So I went to my food Bible
Mm-hmm.
and looked up what I could substitute for cottage cheese. And so the first one was regatta cheese.
Okay.
So the stores were closed. It was about maybe midnight, a little after midnight when I'm trying to put this together. So I put everything in the refrigerator, and I got up the next morning, and I go over to the little grocery store across the street, and I know they never have anything I have because it's a West Indian I know some people may be offended, but it's a West Indian grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have normal things like I would use. So I usually have to get in my car and go to Stop and Shop or somewhere to get what I want because they don't ever have it. Mm-hmm. So I go in there. I say, I know they don't have cottage cheese. I've never seen cottage cheese in this store. So I go in the store. Oh, first thing I see is sour cream. I said, oh, they got sour cream. They must have cottage cheese.
Mm-hmm.
No cottage cheese. None. I said, you don't have cottage cheese? She said, no. So I'm looking. Right in front of me is regatta cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, all right, I'm going to try this cheese. Now, I did use, but, it doesn't have the little curdle, the little, it doesn't have it's smooth. It doesn't taste like much. It hasn't got hardly no taste to it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, I'm going to try it. And I did. I said, I better put some salt and pepper in there. Maybe I'll put a little garlic in there to give it a taste. And I made my macaroni and cheese. My son loved the macaroni and cheese. Myself, because cottage cheese has a taste.
Mm-hmm.
And regatta cheese does not have a taste.
So you put cottage cheese in your macaroni and cheese?
Yes. I used to hate my macaroni and cheese, but people used to like it, but I didn't. So I wanted an easier way to make mac and cheese. So I found this recipe, deluxe mac and cheese, years ago. So you use the cottage cheese, you use the sour cream, you put an egg in there, you put your macaroni in it, and you put your cheese, and you mix it all up, put a little cheese on the top and stick it in the oven. That's all you do. So I said, oh, I don't have to think about this. And so that's what I do. And everybody loves the macaroni and cheese.
My wife made macaroni and cheese yesterday, so I only had a little bit. There's a good amount left over, so I'll have some of that today. I'm gonna spend the rest of the day eating. Literally, I'm gonna eat for the rest of the day.
Thin people could do that. Thin people could do that and eat anything they want, and they never gain a pound. I could eat just a little bit of enjoyable food, and I was gaining a pound. And I said, but I haven't even hardly eaten anything. I don't know why that is, but I'm never going to be little. I'm never going to be little, never was little, but I've tried all my life to be little, to be thin, and I've never accomplished that. And I look around, my mother was thin when she was young, but and nobody in my father's family that I've seen that was very thin. My in his immediate family, they're all big people. And I'm the smallest between the three of us, my other two siblings, but I'm sorry. I always wanted to be thin. And I couldn't. So I'm really trying at this age, since I'm over a half a century old, that don't you think it's a time that you just enjoy your body and just forget being thin because you've never been thin? But I guess it's the world we live in. But it's actually not the world we live in now, because people like to show their bellies, and they have things, they get surgery for big butts. They get
have
big lips,
butt added to you.
Yes.
Instead of trying to take it off, they're having it surgically installed.
There are so many big butts you wouldn't believe in every culture. In America, women have bigger butts than they had before. And I am amazed, because when I was younger, I didn't see all these white people with big butts. But now I see white people with big butts, black people with bigger butts. It's just crazy. So, and thighs and stomachs, and But I can't get used to that. I'm in the previous generations. I still would like to be a lot thinner, healthy, but But actually, I'm really happier when I have some weight on me. I mean, I got so tired of being on diet. So tired.
From the Twiggy generation, when everyone was supposed to be thin. All of the mannequins were thin. All the models on pictures of magazines were thin. Everybody was.
Oh, Marilyn Monroe was not thin. She wore a size 16. Jane Mansfield was not a thin woman. Well, she was a big woman.
The times change, and so I think it's come back around now because there's the quote unquote full size models. There's the you watch the commercials now, and there's all kinds of people with all kinds of thicknesses and narrownesses and all those things. Stick and stay. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Morning Talk.
Hi, my name is Marisha Garcia. I am from Brazil. I help HPU. I help families de Universidade de Harvard Community. Estou muito feliz em participar. É muito importante o engajamento deles padres e madres das escolas de Hartford com seus ninhos, my children. I love helping family e HPU. Thank you. Gracias. Obrigado.
Hi.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends, welcome back. Morning Talk here with Cleo Duke-Wright, talking about the post-holiday. It was the day after Thanksgiving, and all through the house. Yeah. No, I'm gonna eat. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna eat, and I'm gonna have turkey, chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
I'm gonna have lasagna. What else is here? Pie. Apple pie. Coffee. I'm gonna have macaroni and cheese. I'm gonna have some string beans. What else? My mind is going through what's in the refrigerator. Sweet potato cake.
Sweet potato cake.
Yeah, my mother-in-law makes this sweet potato cake. I'm gonna have stuffing, gravy. And that'll be that. I think that kind of like the center of the meal, and I have that throughout the course of the day, several courses. It's unseemly to eat like that when you have company.
So you gotta be by yourself.
So you gotta be by yourself. I'm like,
When you eat like that.
Eat like that, and everyone's sitting there looking. Oh my God! I can't believe you can eat so much food. All that kind of stuff.
My son used to do that. He'd pile his plate up. Willie used to do it too. Pile their plate up to it looks like a plate of garbage. My brother-in-law used to do that, and they'd come out of the.
I never heard that before. That's funny.
Come trailer, and it had this, and it actually
Looked
looks
like
like garbage. And I said, you can't possibly eat like that. And that everything is gone. The first time I saw my son eat like that, I said, wait a minute, what are you doing? You know, he said, you tried to starve me to death when I was growing up, Ma, but I'm eating like this now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but, hey.
Rate hikes coming up with the electricity. You see that?
Yeah, I did.
Apparently, they can only raise the rate. Oh, let me rephrase that. They can raise the rate, and the only way you can really stop it is if there's no justification for the increase. So the costs have gone up, so they're going to raise the rate. Now, I get my electric bill. My electric bill, it costs more to deliver the electricity than the actual electricity. It's ridiculous.
That's what, you know, that's
It's
what
ridiculous.
someone said to me with the panels. They said to the light company, they said, but I got the panels on. And they said it's not the electricity, it's the service, you know, delivering of this. So he thinks he was scammed.
I can't speak to that, but it sounds to me like you've been scared. I think if it was up to me, I would have my own electric power plant, a means by which to create my own electricity.
You can do that.
Well, if I, you know,
you can do that. These panels that they put up now, a friend of mine's father
off
did
grid.
did those panels things years and years ago to lessen his electricity. It was crude, but it was
but it worked.
It worked. Yeah. Long before these things were there. So
there's a couple people here that someone said that they she said, I'm thinking about my rate hike, 50% of 50% by Eversource, and I'm on energizect.com choosing a new supplier. Someone else is trying to figure out which company I am going to go with.
They still have to deal with it.
I don't get how people can keep their Christmas lights on all night. Christmas lights don't use that much electricity. Unless you have those, the old, remember the lights that had the old incandescent bulbs? Mm-hmm. You know, like little mini light bulbs. You can screw them in, just like the ones you have in your house.
Yeah. I still got some of that.
You bring those things out of the attic. Yeah.
Why? Are they expensive?
Well, they use more electricity than the newer ones, but in the overall grand scheme of things, you know. Now, my house, obviously, we use a lot of electricity. In fact, they send out this little, I'm looking around for them. They send out those little things, you know, from Eversource that tell you how much electricity you use compared to your neighbors. Ours always looks like, you know, we have like marijuana lamps in the house or something.
Mine was a lot. I used a lot more this year than I used last year. Or they gave it to me this time last June. They said June, you were using this much electricity. This year, and they said I used twice as much of electricity. I don't know how that could be, but that's what they said.
Yeah, they always give you those. I get this pictorial thing. It's always like so orange and green. It seems to me. But we have a lot of lights and we have a lot of electricity. We have there's a lot of electricity in this room with the studio. But we're at home too. Both my wife and I work from home, so the computers are always on. My son's got a computer lab up in his room, and he's always in there doing something. And stuff's always coming here, so I go in there and have a whole wall full of computers. So there's a lot of electricity being used here. And,
so when you get your electricity bill, you must, whew.
No, it's just the cost of living.
Oh.
I have a golden rule. People accuse me of being elitist. I have a friend of mine always tell me, be careful. You sound like an elitist. Which I find that mildly upsetting.
Give me a definition of elitist for you. Tell me that. An elitist is...
The elitist is the person who's upset because they can't get, the salmon portions they want aren't at the store. Meanwhile, other people just want to have a nice meal. You're paying, $18 a pound for salmon. Drive around in your fancy car. So the things that trouble you. We have people trying to find money, so they can get a meal tonight, eating at a shelter, and you worrying about the price of salmon. That's how I process the elitist. But I have a patented saying since I was working at Pratt & Whitney back when I was 19 years old, and I'll never forget it. This guy, one of the workers, said this, and it impacted my life. Clearly, I'm 63 now. Well, I'm actually 62, but I'll be 63 in January. So always rounded up. I've never been.
Don't say that, dude.
I've never been on the rounded down side of life. I always rounded up because
I'll be another year in January too.
That's right. We're both Aquarians.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be 63, but it's impacted my life still. I always admired the meal he brought for dinner, because at Pratt, your lunch break was around 6 or 7, as I recall. Second shift was from 3 to midnight. No, 3:30 to midnight. You had a half hour for lunch, and it seems to me that the second shift lunch wave was maybe it was 6:30 or 7 o'clock. We're gonna go past this break. 6:30 or 7 o'clock, and but he brought in like a meal. I mean, like steak, lobster, shrimp. I mean, he brought in a meal. He wasn't playing, and it was always interesting to see what he brought. So that's a really nice meal you bring in here. He says, "I work for a living." And he was, I never forget. And he was a thin man too.
You thin people are really something.
He said, "I work for a living, Stan. And there's 2 things I will always have: heat and good food. I'm not going to deny myself the best food I can buy, and I'm not going to be cold. I work for a living." And it just did something to me. It's like, at the end of the day, we work so that we can eat and be comfortable. And he said, "I'm not going to nickel and dime and have my house at 60 degrees. I'm going to turn the heat up to 80 because that's the temperature I want. And I'm going to always have good food. So it doesn't matter to me how much it costs. That's why I work.
So I can afford it.
I can afford everything else comes after that." And I said, you know what? So I adopted that rule, and it's been my rule ever since. It's been my rule ever since. Because you life is short. There's only so many things you can enjoy in life.
That I remember people own houses, and they'd only take a bath a couple of times a week.
Save money on the water and the heat.
And more than one person would use that same water.
What?
For a bath. Yeah, more than one person would use that same water. That always really disgusted me. We never had to do that. We lived in Westbrook Village. We had water, but there were people who would share the tub, the water in the tub, because they had a water bill. And I remember seeing this movie where this boy was mad at his father.
Mm-hmm.
And he took a bath before his father. And he was so mad at his father, he defecated in the he defecated in the tub. And then his father walks in and starts screaming, "How would you?" So, and I don't know what that always, that just made it even worse. After I saw that movie, that people did that, of course, and they didn't take like a lot of us take a shower every day.
Mm-hmm.
They had the pitcher in the bowl.
Yeah.
And they washed every day, and that was sufficient. I mean, I think it was sufficient.
Well,
and then they take a bath once or twice a week, but they really wash at the sink.
Well, we've made a lot of advances because once upon a time, all the things we take for granted, we couldn't. This is one nice thing about tours that you can take, like at Mark Twain House and in the Isham Terry House and different places like that. Or you go out to, what's this village? Old
Lime?
No. There's a village right on the edge of Old Sturbridge.
Oh, Sturbridge Village.
You go to Old Sturbridge Village. And, water was not running. It was in the creek or a well. And you had to go get the water and bring the water to the house. You'd have to heat the water if you wanted it warm and put it inside, as you say, a tub. And so, I think we take so much for granted that we don't realize how blessed we actually are. And I think we're so blessed. We have such abundance in this country.
We do.
That people actually have time to quibble over the kind of blessing they have. Their selective outrage over the blessings that they have is kind of like where we are. So they're rejecting certain things that once were seemingly okay, but now aren't because they've come into a new awareness of things. I'm not talking about people coming, growing in knowledge. I'm talking about people getting, people who get angry and, want to burn everything down because they don't like a thing. Yet, to me, that's the real elitism. Instead of being thankful for the blessings we have.
We don't know. And our children don't know. Until, you visit somebody else, you visit a different country or...
Oh,
that's why.
Absolutely.
That's why when people come to this country and they see the streets are paved with gold to them, when they come to this country and they work and they see that what they could do, and they keep on working, and they're not petty like we are, and I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to do this, blah, 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 and they make it. Then we get mad. And then we get mad. We get mad at them because now they own all the corner drugstores, or they own the gas, or the gas stations, or some people say they came in with money. Maybe some people did, but all them people didn't come in with money. And they work hard just like we used to work hard.
We
did it first. We used to work like that.
There you go.
And we accomplished. Now we're mad at them because they accomplished.
It's a lot of wasted energy. One of our viewers says here, she remembers when people went down to the river, washed their clothes on rocks, and hung them on the bushes to dry. See, a lot of people have experiences that the folks today take so much for granted that they're upset at things that are nuanced. It's like being mad at someone else for their success, or being mad at someone else because they celebrate in a different way. Whatever, it's like, goodness, live.
That's right. We used to take baths outside because we used to have to go to right here in Connecticut, right in Ellington, Connecticut. My grandma did not have a bathroom in her house. We had to go out to the well. The pump was always broke, so we had to go lay down on our stomachs, put the bucket down in the well to get drinking water or anything else. We had no electricity. I don't know how she did it. But when we went over there, she had this metal tub, those metal, put water in the tub so we could take a bath. We didn't think anything of it because that's what
you did.
That's what you did when you went over Grandma's house. That's what you did. Lay on the grass at night. It was really wonderful.
Because now, of course, thus saith stand not necessarily the truth, because you were living. When you live, and I don't mean to be in survival mode. I mean, when you live life, you're taking one day at a time, and you embrace the experience, and you move through the day like a boat moves through water, and it is
what it is.
What it is. A lot of people hate that experience, that expression, but it is what it is, and then you grow from it.
When someone says to you, my brother-in-law said last night, he says, the things that I've been through, and I know he's been through some horrible things. He said, all this is nothing. This is, just take life. Just take life. He said, I didn't know what he was talking about. He was talking about so many things. And I'm saying, wow. He's talking, you want to do this? Go do it. You want to create something and go do it. If you create it, nobody could ever take it away from you. He kept saying, if you create it, no one could ever take it away from you.
Absolutely.
He said, no matter what they do, they can't take that away from you. So just keep on. I said, wow. He's in a different place than I am. He has this really optimistic, and he has accomplished a lot in his life and lost a lot in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has MS, but it keeps on going. Keeps on doing his thing. Very optimistic.
You have to be. I guess you don't have to be optimistic, but it's, I think as a collective, and when I say collective, I mean all people. I think we do such harm to ourselves and society overall when we don't see the value in other people.
Oh, I agree with
and
that.
Their differences aren't necessarily what one should focus on as negative. Their differences ought to be, views of. It's like going to a supermarket. If you go into like a Stop and Shop or a Whole Foods or a Lowe's or a Home Depot,
Mm-hmm.
you go to Home Depot and everything you need to build a house is in there. You go into a supermarket and you can make a gourmet meal. You can come out with a pack of hot dogs. I mean, everything you need is there. It doesn't mean that, everything you don't need needs to be burned down to the ground or thrown in the trash. Or you found out that the hot dogs were made out of portions of the meat that you would never want to eat. Then stop buying hot dogs. That's all. It can get something else. It doesn't mean that now you have to ban all hot dogs because you're offended by it. And I think that people add so much to the fabric that you can only be blessed by being in the presence of other people. And I think there's a double blessing being in the presence of people who you disagree with, because those people expose you to things you would never ever know, because they're not stuff that you embrace necessarily.
Right.
And you'd be surprised what you can find out from folks that you disagree with. You're like, wow, I never really thought of it that way. Now that I have a better understanding, I'm made all the more rich by it.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to those people are different. We need to get rid of them.
Well, that happens to a lot of people who come to this country And they fall into that mindset of judgment. And they judge the people who have been here for hundreds of years and call them names and this and that and lazy and all of that. And I'm saying, hey, I'm here. My mother was here and father was here. My grandparents were here. Their grandparents. What are you talking about? One lady stopped speaking to me. She was from Jamaica. Stopped speaking to me because I said to her, I cannot go to Jamaica and know and feel all the things that those people have gone through, that you've gone through. I can't go to Jamaica and say I know, because I don't. I don't know what you're going to. I don't know why you think this way. I don't know why this is happening or that is happening. I don't know. And you don't know what you're talking about when you talk about America and people who look like you. You don't know. She never talked to me again. She never talked to me. I didn't think I said anything wrong to her. I was just trying to enlighten her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she took she talked about us just like white folks used to talk. Some of them talked about us.
Mm-hmm.
The lazy this and the lazy that, and they got tails and all of that. She bought into that, and a lot of people who come to this country buy into that before they even know anything about the black people of this country, you know. And I just think that that's sad. Until they get to know them, I just think that's very sad. But maybe we do that when we go to other countries.
Well, I think it gets back to what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about like oral traditions versus what's written down, and we don't. When you go someplace else, you take your perception of things with you. That's why miserable people are miserable everywhere they go, and no matter what the setting is, because they're miserable.
That's right, and they're going to stay miserable, and they're going to make you miserable.
Right.
You stay near.
Right. So their misery, and they love misery, and they want everyone around them to be miserable. I refuse to be miserable, particularly for someone, because someone. Absolutely not. You be as miserable as you want. But they take they bring their perspective to it, and then they start judging based upon what they know, rather than going with an attitude of I know nothing. What can I learn? Or as Dr. Bowen always says, lifelong learner. We can be a lifelong learner, or we can curse everything we don't know. And you can become siloed. It's like all wisdom and knowledge is only in that building. So that's the only building I'm going into. Just hope it's not a water treatment plant. Because the only thing you can get out of that is sewage, right? I hate this building. Everything in here stinks, In fact, it was funny because I was doing some video work for the MDC. This is many, 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 many years ago. As a lead up to the Clean Water Project. And there was we were videotaping. The segment was on the sewage treatment plant over in the Meadows, and the guy that was running it, he had given us the grand tour, and I'm taping certain portions of it. This is for a client. I was not me telling the story. This story was scripted and everything else, but I'm taping different segments and different parts of the interview. And he says. He took a deep breath. And I mean, this place, you're at the sewage treatment plant.
You can't breathe.
It's hard to breathe. But there's enough oxygen to support life. And everything that winds up in the sewer comes through this processor, and it sorts stuff out.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Oh, really? And he says, you smell that? And everyone can't help
but to smell it.
He says, you know what that is? Everyone's looking at him like, what are you talking about? Of course we know what it is. We're standing in the middle of it. I don't want to use the word. He said, that's the smell of money. Perspective. They're making lots of money. To him, that was the smell of money. They make money every day doing this work. Everyone else thinks of it as, oh my God, we got to get rid of this, So how one looks at things, whether the glass is half full, half empty, whether you see value in people or not. If you don't see value in people, you won't find any value in people. And I think that's the horror of devaluing other human beings. Even if someone's done something wrong to you, they have some value. That's not being dismissive of the wrong they do, because people are very selective. Because there would be, if they didn't, it's selective in this sense. If you were a criminal justice warrior, and folk could have a second and third and fourth chance, even though they've done some horrific crime, you see value in people. You're just very selective. They're selective as to who they see value in. So everyone has value.
Yeah, but you can't sometimes stand to be near certain people. Like you say, negative people.
Oh, yes.
Negative people who are always negative. Blue Hills Avenue, where I live, I say I get so tired of angry people. Angry people around me all the time. Everybody's mad. This person's mad. That person's mad. This person's shooting up the street, and negative things happen. And I said, I'm really sick of seeing angry people. I'm tired of. I don't want to see angry people all the time. Just sometimes I want to see people who. I'm not saying that. I have to say that they're not angry at me, or they're not talking or doing it against me per se, because I have to say I'm treated very well on Blue Hills Avenue, very well, and and respected. I feel that, but when they're talking to each other, when they're talking to other people, they're so mean. They're so angry all the time, and that makes me very sad. The same person who helped me out the car with the groceries and helped me up the stairs, who was very, very pleasant, goes outside and starts cussing and angry at somebody, and I just don't like seeing that all the time.
Well, the older I get, the more intolerant toward that attitude I start to express. I think I'm just gonna be outright. Look, if you can't be happy, then you have to leave. While you around here, you're gonna be happy. Be optimistic. Find the value in things as opposed to being miserable.
Yeah, I mean, I said if they were in a different place and I was in a different place, and if I could just capture that, how they act with me, capture that, and just kind of spread it around.
Be nice to someone.
Spread it around. I would love that. The person who was killed a week ago or so, the most gentle person, one of the most gentle people I knew. Very, very quiet. Was always ready there to open the door. Never said too much. I've never seen him talk too much, and I've seen him in a bad way. With his addictions, I've seen him in a bad way. But get up on his feet and he had a beautiful soul, a beautiful spirit about him. And then you wake up and he's gone. And that's, that is just something I don't want to see anymore. I really don't want to see it anymore. because that is really. And you go out every day and you see the candles and you see people crying and you see people sitting. People mourn these people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they think their funeral's going to be. Those candles on the street. That's their funeral. And these are the people that are going to be at their funeral. And that's an accepted belief. You say, hey, Ma, if I die, I die. That's just the way it is. And they go right back out there. Men and women.
Mm-hmm.
You should see just men.
Mm-hmm.
But men and these young, beautiful women. Beautiful women. I just can't believe it. I look at it and I say, oh my goodness. But there's one lady who is helps Willie
Mm-hmm.
every time she sees him. Will try to get him up in the building and say, all right, you guys, come on in. Willie's got to get in this house, and they all come. And so what is this mixture that I'm in the middle of? This mixture of good Samaritans and good people and bad people all in the same body.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a couple of hours they'll be in the corners doing whatever they do, But they come out of those corners just for that minute, just to help so and so. I'm sure I'm not the only one they pay attention to or help. But then they just go right back into their little world that they decided they're going to live in.
People make decisions, as you've just said. They make a decision. People decide how they want to be. And sometimes, people are who they are.
That's right.
It believe the person when they show you their face. That's really what they look like. And sometimes it's not a pretty face, but everyone has value.
That's right.
And
some people love the street. Some people really love the street.
Mm-hmm.
I come from the street. I always been in the street. And I love the street. I heard that just yesterday. And I was having fun in the street, and I'm still having fun. And I mean, she's always happy, and she'll cuss you out in a minute and keep on stepping and feed you on the next hand and cuss you out. It just amazes me, and I'm saying, well, and I'm looking at them like, what in the world did you come from? But they're looking at me in the same way. They're looking at me and saying, where have you been? Don't you know how the world works? And I'm saying, oh my God, I hope I know something after all these years of living. But two different worlds. And can you combine these worlds? Can you be accepted in both worlds? Well, you can.
You can.
Yeah, actually, they accept me in their world, although I gotta sit in a room where they're smoking and drinking, and I said, oh my God, how long am I? I enjoy their company, but they're back to kill me with the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, yeah, I'm fine. I said, 60s. This person is in their 60s. Is she? Yep. Almost 70 years old. Been in the street her whole life. And not regretting not 1 minute.
Well, societies, whether they're small or large, you have friends in them and you grow used to it. and it becomes what you're familiar with. You know, these silos. We have all kinds of silos: educational silos, religious silos, business silos. All these little circles that we are become very comfortable in, and folk need to be courageous enough to embrace other folks who may not agree with you and just live a little bit. You know, just stop canceling everybody else out and then start embracing. I think if we do that, then we really benefit, because together we make a nice large family or group of people. We're human beings living on Earth.
Yes.
And
that's the young lady who came into the hallway, helped Willie into the hallway, and then prayed for him. I mean, prayed for him. And and I was so amazed that I didn't know she was like that, you know. Mm-hmm. And she looked at me and she said, I know, I was raised in the church. I know how to pray. And prayed, and then turned around and went back outside to the streets.
Wow.
I'm saying, well, God knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but God knows. I ain't even going to try to figure that one out.
At the end of the day, and we have a lot to be thankful for.
Yes.
So we weren't live yesterday, but we're live today, and so I guess I'll use today as my day to say happy Thanksgiving. There's plenty to be thankful for.
Yes.
And you know, make life something worth living, since you have to live it, and you will find that there's a lot to be happy about, unless you just want to be miserable. And if you're can't find something to be miserable about, you'll go look for someone else's misery and then share their misery with yourself. A lot of people live off misery. Be thankful for a little bit, at least one day out of the year. Be thankful and realize there's something greater than ourselves.
There certainly is. If you can't figure that one out, you know, you got to be deaf, dumb, and blind. If you can't figure out there is something greater than ourselves.
All right, my friends, our time together has come to an end. Miss Cleo, thanks a lot.
Nice being here, Stan.
All right.
Relaxing time.
Good. Your head's not hurting today.
No, my head's not hurting.
Okay. All right, so let the eat begin. I'm gonna watch good movies and eat for the rest of the day. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
My name is J. Stan McCauley, and I do business as Light Source Productions. I provide professional services in the area of strategic video communications. First, what we do is we help you craft your message using what I call the rule of the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. We do event documentation, content acquisition, full-scale productions, editing, and of course distribution through our social media television network. And with social media, video is more important now than it has ever been. Whether you're talking big business, small business, nonprofit, church, or just an individual. Let's say you plan you're planning an event, a wedding, whatever the case may be. But let's say a big event, but no video. And you spent all this time, all these hours to put this event on, and maybe 100, 200 people attend the event. But more important than that is that thousands could attend by watching it on social media. But of course, you don't think about this until after the event is over. You can't afford not to capture it for social media. And despite what people think, I am affordable. Give me a call. Let's plan your next video project and share it with the world on my social media television network. I promise you that you will have the attention of one person, me.